us we are what we buy. Our sofa, our car, our job title. And then Fight Club quietly asked a brutal question. What if that is a lie? Beneath the punches and chaos sits a sharper idea. You are not your job. You are not your bank account. The film is not just about rebellion. It is about identity stripped down to nothing. Let us break it apart carefully. We begin small. Then we build toward the deeper fractures hiding in plain sight. The Starbucks cup's everywhere. Look closely and you will see it. A Starbucks cup tucked into the background of nearly every scene. On counters, on office desks, in corners you barely notice the first time. Director David Fincher confirmed this was intentional. This is not random product placement. It is satire. The film attacks the idea that corporate brands colonize every corner of modern life. Starbucks becomes a visual virus. It spreads quietly through the frame the way consumer culture spreads through society. You do not see it at first, then once you notice it, you cannot stop noticing. The joke cuts deeper. Starbucks represents comfort and identity branding. People treat it like a lifestyle marker. The narrator lives in a world where identity is bought and displayed. The cups act like a watermark over reality. Even rebellion is happening inside a branded landscape. It is subtle, but it tells you the system is everywhere, even in the background of a fight against the system. Tyler Durden appears before he is introduced. Before the plane conversation, before the name, before the soap speech. Tyler flashes on screen in quick single frames. Blink and you miss him. 4 times. And this technique mirrors Tyler's later job as a projectionist, where he splices adult frames into family movies. He literally inserts himself into the narrator's reality before the narrator consciously meets him. It is psychological foreshadowing. The subliminal flashes also reflect how intrusive thoughts work. They arrive unannounced, fragmented, unformed. Tyler exists in the narrator's mind long before the story admits it. The film is honest with the audience from the start. It shows you the truth. You just do not recognize it yet. It is not just a twist trick. It is a structural clue. The film teaches you how the mind fractures, slowly, quietly, then all at once. The IKEA catalog apartment. The apartment scene is framed like a literal IKEA catalog. Text overlays, clean layouts, camera moves that resemble furniture ads. The narrator lists products like they are sacred artifacts. This is not random visual style. It shows how his personality is constructed through objects. He defines himself by Scandinavian shelving units and dishware patterns. His home is not a sanctuary. It is a showroom. The explosion that destroys the apartment is more than a plot device. It is a symbolic purge. When the material identity collapses, he is forced to confront the emptiness underneath. Without the couch, without the plates. Who is he? The film suggests consumer culture does not just sell products. It sells identity templates. The narrator bought one. Tyler burns it down. The Paper Street house address. Paper Street is not just a quirky name. In cartography, a paper street is a fake street added to maps to detect copyright theft. And it looks real but does not exist in reality. Tyler lives on a fake street. That is not accidental. The house is decaying, water leaks, boards rot. It feels unreal, because it is. The entire location represents a constructed mental space, a break from the polished apartment life, a collapse into chaos. Living there means abandoning structure. No rules, no safety, no corporate packaging. But it is still an illusion. It is not freedom. It is another identity mask, dirtier, louder, but still built inside the narrator's fractured mind. The address tells you everything. Tyler's revolution is mapped, but it is not real. Liposuction soap. The soap is one of the film's darkest jokes. Tyler steals fat from liposuction clinics, renders it into pink bars, and sells it back to luxury stores at premium prices. That is not shock value. It is satire. The wealthy remove fat. That waste becomes product. They buy it again. A closed loop of consumption. The system feeds on itself. Capitalism monetizes everything, even discarded body parts. Yet the narrator feels alive making it. Handmade, physical, real. But the soap still ends up inside the retail machine he claims to reject. Rebellion becomes commodity. Even chaos can be packaged and resold. The penguin power animal. During meditation, the narrator imagines a cave. Inside stands a penguin. It says one word, Slide. It feels silly, but it carries weight. Penguins survive harsh climates through adaptation. Sliding conserves energy. The message is passive. Stop resisting. Move with the ice. The narrator is exhausted. Slide becomes surrender. Tyler later embodies that mindset. Let go of fear. Let go of control. Slide into chaos. The penguin appears before Tyler fully emerges. It signals retreat, not confrontation. His inner guide is calm, detached, indifferent. The psyche is already splitting. The comfort is a warning. Marla's isolation. Marla rarely connects with anyone beyond the narrator and Tyler. In crowded rooms, she lingers at the edge, drifting like smoke. That isolation reinforces the twist. The narrator's reality is unstable. She mirrors him. She attends support groups for illnesses she does not have. She is addicted to emotional spectacle. Both are frauds seeking relief. Tyler treats her with reckless intensity, embodying the narrator's suppressed impulses. When Tyler vanishes, her confusion exposes the truth. Marla's isolation highlights alienation. Even surrounded by people, everyone remains alone. She is not just a love interest. And she is proof reality is fractured. The cigarette burns. Cigarette burns once signaled projectionists to switch film reels. Fight Club inserts fake ones deliberately. This is not nostalgia. It connects to Tyler's job splicing explicit frames into family movies. He corrupts narratives quietly. The burns remind viewers the film is constructed. Illusion has machinery. They also mirror the narrator's psyche. Tyler inserts himself into scenes, frame by frame, unnoticed. Identity is spliced the same way. Reality can be edited subtly, one idea at a time. The audience rarely sees the splice until it is too late. The message is unsettling. Control the edit. Control the story. The narrator has no name. The narrator never reveals his name. Jack is borrowed from magazine articles, manufactured, not real. This is deliberate. When he represents a type, corporate drone, catalog consumer, frequent flyer, without a name, he lacks anchor. He could be anyone. Tyler, by contrast, has a bold, mythic name, Tyler Durden. Memorable, cinematic. The contrast matters. One identity is blank. The other is larger than life. Without a fixed name, the split becomes easier. There is no stable core resisting Tyler. The missing name is the thesis. If society reduces you to a job and possessions, who are you without them? The Jack Organ monologues. I am Jack's smirking revenge. I am Jack's raging bile duct. The narrator borrows this style from old magazine articles written from the perspective of organs. He cannot say, I am angry. He filters emotion through mass media language. That matters. Even his inner voice is secondhand. He speaks in fragments, liver, stomach, inner brain, mirroring his psychological split. Identity appears disassembled. There is irony, too. Educational articles become dark self-commentary. The body turns into a battleground of shame and rage. He does not own his voice. He borrows it. Tyler, by contrast, sounds raw and original. The monologues reveal a mind constructed by consumer culture. The testicular cancer support group. The narrator first sleeps after crying in a support group for men with testicular cancer. That detail is symbolic. The film fixates on absent fathers and fragile masculinity. Castration anxiety becomes literal here. Men without testicles represent lost power. Yet the room holds vulnerability and honesty, real emotion. The narrator steals that relief. He fakes suffering to feel something genuine. This moment sets up Tyler. Tyler rejects softness and preaches violence as purification. The film contrasts emotional surrender with brutal dominance. The support group is not just dark humor. It is the emotional fracture point. Fake pain gives him comfort. Tyler gives him something louder. Project Mayhem. Mirrors corporate structure. Fight Club begins raw. Basements, sweat, freedom from rules. Then Project Mayhem forms. Ranks, uniforms, shaved heads, chants, assigned tasks, it becomes corporate. Tyler claims to destroy the system, but rebuilds hierarchy. Members lose names and become space monkeys, replaceable labor units. The rebellion mirrors the office. The film critiques movements that replicate the power structures they oppose. Chaos organizes itself. Control returns under a new banner. The narrator grows uneasy, not just from violence, no, but from obedience. Project Mayhem is not liberation. It is a mirror. Escape the system physically, and you may rebuild it psychologically. The sickly green and brown color palette. The film looks dirty on purpose. Muted greens and browns dominate the frame. Offices feel stale. Basements feel damp. The city feels infected. This is psychological design. Green here is institutional. Fluorescent lighting, hospital corridors, corporate decay. Even daylight feels unhealthy. When Tyler appears, red interrupts. His jacket, blood, soap. Red cuts through the sick green like a wound. Color becomes storytelling. The narrator's world suffocates before anything explodes. Moving into the Paper Street house does not bring freedom. The tones grow darker, moldy, collapsing. The film does not just describe societal decay. It makes you see it. I'm frame by frame. The missing father motif. Fathers who left. Fathers who vanished. Tyler says his father disappeared. The narrator was raised by a single mother. The pattern repeats. This absence drives the story. The men in Fight Club crave structure and direction. Without paternal models, they drift into corporate systems because those offer rules and authority. Tyler fills the vacuum. Mentor, commander, prophet. He offers pain instead of therapy, discipline instead of comfort. The film suggests paternal absence mutates into aggression. Fight Club becomes a ritual to reclaim masculinity through violence. The hunger begins with absence. Tyler feeds it, and the cycle continues. Tyler's red jacket. Tyler stands out visually in almost every scene. While the narrator wears bland office tones, and Tyler often wears that striking red leather jacket. It is not subtle. Red signals power, attraction, threat. He is the embodied ID, desire without restraint. When he enters a room, he commands it visually before he speaks. The jacket also separates him from the crowd. Fight Club members wear dark, muted clothing. Tyler glows. He is not one of them. He is above them, a constructed ideal. There is something theatrical about it, almost costume-like, because Tyler is performance. He is the version of masculinity the narrator imagines, but cannot become directly. The red jacket is a warning. He looks cool, confident, alive, but he also looks dangerous. The color ties him to blood and destruction. Every time you see it, you are being told that this charisma comes with a cost. Style is seduction, and the film knows how easily audiences fall for it. You are not your job. Tyler's declaration attacks identity at its core. You are not your job, your bank account, or your car. It sounds liberating, and partly it is. The narrator's worth revolves around productivity, possessions, and corporate status. Tyler tears that down. But once those markers vanish, what remains? The film offers no stable replacement. Strip away structure and something else fills the void. Anger, ego, violence. That tension is intentional. The line resonates because many identities are externally built. Remove the scaffolding and insecurity surfaces. The message frees you. It also destabilizes you. And Tyler thrives in that instability. The single-serving friends philosophy. The narrator calls airplane acquaintances single-serving friends. Polite conversation, shared armrest, then gone. It sounds harmless, even funny, but it exposes isolation. In this world, connections are temporary transactions. No roots, no accountability. Even support groups become emotional vending machines. Tyler counters that with Fight Club. Members bleed together, scar together. That bond is permanent. The contrast matters. Shallow contact feels safe because it requires nothing. Fight Club feels real because it hurts. The film critiques a culture that normalizes disposability. When relationships become temporary experiences, people may crave something extreme just to feel anchored to anything at all. The frame splice of explicit images. Tyler inserts single frames of adult content into family films. The audience never consciously sees them, but they are there. The metaphor is clear. Before Tyler is introduced, he flashes briefly on screen. A hidden frame inside the narrator's polished life. A quiet corruption. Just as viewers miss one rogue image, the narrator misses his own fracture. The intrusion happens subtly, frame by frame. It also critiques media trust. People assume what they see is complete, but meaning can be manipulated invisibly. Once the splice is inserted, it cannot be undone. Just like Tyler. The credit card company explosions. Project Mayhem targets buildings holding credit records. Erase debt. Reset society. It sounds revolutionary, but the film frames it as fantasy. Destroying data does not erase inequality. It creates chaos. Debt symbolizes control. Rage against invisible systems becomes explosive spectacle. Yet Project Mayhem mirrors what it opposes: strict hierarchy, blind obedience. The rebellion adopts the structure of the system. The skyline collapsing feels cathartic. But is it transformation or just destruction? The ending leaves that tension unresolved. Liberation and disaster share the same frame. The final hand-holding scene. As buildings fall, the narrator holds Marla's hand. After violence and identity fracture, the film ends on connection. That choice matters. Masculinity throughout the film centers on aggression and dominance. Yet the final image is intimacy. The narrator confronts Tyler and survives. External systems collapse behind him, but he is not alone. The message is understated. Change may not come from explosions or manifestos. It may come from vulnerability. The future remains uncertain. But for one moment, clarity exists. A fractured man choosing reality over illusion. Fight Club hides its ideas beneath bruises and broken glass. Look past the fights and you find a study of identity, control, and modern emptiness. It questions who we are when titles vanish, and it leaves one haunting thought. If you are not what you own, then what remains?